My wife's mother handed out iPhones to all the grandkids but skipped my daughter. She's not related by blood, so I told her, grab your things and leave my home. These are meant for the relatives, dear. My mother-in-law's words cut through the room like broken shards as my 8-year-old daughter stared at the iPhone 16 Pro Max she had given to the other kids. The silence that followed was overwhelming. 20 guests were in my living room in the house I purchased, witnessing her deliberately leave out my young child from the priciest family present of the season. "Why don't I get one, Grandma?" my child asked with that heartbreaking purity. "Because you're not really part of the lineage. These are only for my direct descendants." The noise of my daughter dashing upstairs crying blended with the guests' awkward chuckles. 046 When I confronted my mother-in-law, she just dismissed it. "This is my cash. 050 I'll distribute it to whomever I want." 052 My spouse came back from her journey the next day. Her response chilled me to the core. 058 Mom's simply elderly. I'm certain she meant no ill will. You're exaggerating like always. 104 That evening, the situation shifted. I gave my wife an ultimatum. She had one day to choose. Either your mom exits my property or you go with her. The initial clash happened at sunrise. My wife found me in the kitchen, serving coffee with the composure of someone who'd already made up their mind. "You can't toss her onto the pavement," she shouted in that shrill tone she used when she was spiraling. "She's my parent. She's aged," I replied without elevating my tone. "This is my residence. The timeline is fixed, so where will she go? Sleep outside?" She ought to have considered that prior to insulting my daughter. The offense was aimed at the young girl you've nurtured since she was a toddler, the little one who refers to you as mother. I saw her expression crack as I framed it that way. But the moment of fragility lasted briefly before blood ties reinforced. 158 My mother-in-law, encouraged by my wife's support, barricaded herself in the visitor room. When I approached to remind her she had 18 hours remaining, she grinned, sending a shiver through me. "I'm staying put. I have renter protections." Her tone carried the assurance that stems from misunderstanding the law. "And if you attempt anything, I'll contact authorities for family abuse." 219 My wife turned into her attendant, bringing food and acting as a barrier. "Give her space," she'd say each time I neared that area. "She's under enough pressure." That day, I placed the call that altered the course. My attorney verified my hunch. A formal removal might drag on 237 for months. As an expert billing hourly, he suggested documenting every interaction, 242, that lady has in your place. Every slur, every warning, every hostile act. In tough removal cases, the side with superior records prevails. That evening, I started a secure online folder. I named it Conflict Log and began noting details. Date, hour, and full account. Each forceful shut of the door. Every subtle jab she uttered as I passed the cooking area. Every instance my daughter descended 310 and wept because Grandma ignored her. The initial discovery came 314 while checking financial records. My wife had shared the bank card with her. The expenses were excessive. Amazon fees $340 for a high-end espresso machine delivered to the space. $325, $180 for Asian beauty products. Top-tier health supplements at $95. Honestly, 332 I presented the record to my wife. "You're funding her after what she did to our child." She answered, avoiding eye contact, "It's for health costs. She's senior. She needs items." I recorded each spend. Each lavish buy added more evidence to my dossier, showing no remorse or regret. The major intensification, 352, happened 7 days on. A worker from Child Welfare Services arrived at my door, citing an unnamed report. Intense household conflicts foster an insecure and possibly hazardous space for a minor. When I outlined the issue thoughtfully, providing duplicates of my early notes as signs of ongoing hostility and psychological harm to my daughter, her demeanor shifted sharply. Before departing, she noted the reporter gave very specific details about your dwelling. Info only an insider would possess. When I shared the document with my wife, she denied it. It had to be another person. "You're fabricating tailies to pit me against my mom." Her gaze burned with the fierce anger that arises when truth meets refusal. 436 that evening, I set up surveillance cams in shared zones. It was advice from 441, the welfare agent. I announced it at dinner to promote openness in the home. 446, my wife couldn't protest. My mother-in-law turned ashen. I delivered the official removal 451 paper the following day. 1 month. The countdown had begun. The place became a tense standoff area. My wife moved to the lounge couch and avoided our bed. Our daughter endured the oppressive quiet. But amid the turmoil, I did something that felt unusual. I secretly purchased my daughter the latest iPhone 16 Pro Max. I presented 513 it to her privately, the package wrapped in simple wrapping. "This is from father," I said, 518 embracing her as her eyes filled with joyful tears. "But let's keep it hidden for the moment, all right," 523 to avoid extra trouble. It was my method of shielding her during the disorder, 529 of assuring her that, regardless of events, she was my main focus. 533, as I reviewed the recordings nightly, I realized something. This went beyond evicting 538 my mother-in-law. My objective had evolved. I aimed to liberate my wife from her denial before 544 it doomed us all. The formal removal document was served on a Tuesday morning, 549, by a deputy who seemed more uneasy than us. 553 30 days. The dispute was now documented. My mother-in-law took the paper with a 559 grin that froze me. She granted me a month to find a skilled attorney who'd show me who's in charge, fluttering the sheet like party favors. The cams I'd placed, 609, became my lifeline. The first recording emerged that afternoon. I was scanning, 615 the files when I heard my mother-in-law talking to my wife in the cooking space. 619, when this fool exhausts funds for legal fees, he'll surrender. Plus, 624, this property ought to be yours rightfully. You're my child, not him. 628, my wife muttered something unclear, but she didn't object. 632, I preserved the clip right away. The next one came 2 days after. I captured her purposefully, 638 damaging the wooden floor in the sitting area with one of her heavy bags, which she 641 pulled with obvious intent while gazing straight at me. When I acted unaware, 646, she smirked and kept going. What occurred here? I questioned my wife that evening, 652 indicating the scratches. It was probably unintentional. Mom has joint issues. She's not great at handling objects, but I possessed the footage, every planned motion, every spiteful grin. 705, the third recording, transformed the scenario. The corridor cam caught her accessing my study when she 709 thought it was empty. I observed her rummage my workstation, open compartments, and finally pocket a 715 pair of silver links from my dad, slipping them into her bag. 720, when I informed my wife items were gone, her reply showed her detachment. 725, I'm positive she just stored them safely so they don't vanish amid all the 729 lawyers and documents. My wife had crossed into 734 enabling territory. It wasn't mere avoidance anymore, it was participation. The breaking point arrived a week on. 7:39, I was remote working when I heard shouts from the yard. I rushed outside and found my child 743 sobbing by the pool, drenched in her outfit. What transpired? I demanded from 748, my mother-in-law standing nearby, arms folded. She fell, she claimed, with a familiar wicked 753 smirk. She was dashing where she shouldn't. My daughter shook in my hold. "Dad, I didn't fall. Grandma shoved me because I said I no longer cared for her." 804 kids fabricate stories constantly, my mother-in-law retorted, particularly those lacking manners for seniors. That evening, as I toweled my daughter's hair, I made a 8:15 pivotal choice. It was time to end this charade. My mother-in-law had left for a 8:20 stroll, probably to badmouth me to locals. I timed it to propose a peace evening to discuss and resolve like grown-ups. 8:30, I got her preferred cuisine from that Thai spot she loved, lit candles on the 834 table, and built a facade of optimism. We were alone in the place. 8:39, my wife took a seat with a wary look, as if expecting regret or yield. 8:45, her fists tight, anxious yet optimistic. I stayed quiet initially, 8:49 just activating the dining screen, linking my computer. She asked, 8:54, I need to display something. I stated with the poise of having the upper hand. 9 o'clock. The initial clip played, her mom declaring the house should be hers by 9:04 entitlement, and I was a fool who'd quit. I observed my wife's features harden. 9:09, this is likely misinterpreted, she whispered, but her conviction waned. 9:14, hold on, more follows. The second showed the intentional floor damage, 9:19, each deliberate step, each bold glance at the lens. My wife began denying with head shakes, 9:24, yet her focus stayed glued. The third was the knockout, 9:28, the pilfering of my dad's links, crisp, clear, indisputable. 9:32 I viewed her rifle my workspace, hunt for those pieces, and conceal them in her satchel. 9:38 my wife went mute, jaw dropped. And this, I added, running the sound my attorney 9:43 had acquired legally, is the contact to child welfare. My mother-in-law's timbre 9:49 was distinct. Yes, I'd like to flag a risky setup for a youth. 9:54 the stepdad is fostering a combative and aggressive atmosphere, endangering the kid. 9:59 my wife's illusion, founded on rejection, crumbled instantly. I saw her process it all, astonishment, insight, sorrow, fury. She sobbed, but these were unique tears 10:10, not for her parent or the mess. She wept for her oblivion, for the hurt she'd permitted on the kid she'd parented as hers, 10:20 for the disloyalty she'd unknowingly facilitated. "Oh Lord," she murmured, "how was I so oblivious? How did I let her inflict this on our child?" Just then we heard the entry 10:32 shut. My mother-in-law was back from her outing, doubtless pleased with slandering another person against me. My wife wiped her face and stood with a resolve I 10:42 hadn't witnessed in ages. She marched to the guest area with firm strides. 10:48 I trailed quietly, staying outside. This was her battle, 10:52 she needed to triumph solo. She entered without rapping. 10:57 my mother-in-law was sorting her recent buys. She'd used more of my wife's 11:01 funds on unneeded luxuries. My wife spoke in a firm, unyielding pitch I'd 11:06 never heard. "Gather your stuff. You're departing immediately." 11:11 my mother-in-law pivoted with her superior smirk, refined over years. 11:16 pardon. "I'm not budging, this is my space too." 11:22 I viewed the recordings, mother, I saw it all. My mother-in-law's grin vanished, 11:28 swiftly. "I observed you thieving. I saw you deliberately wreck, 11:33 the place. I heard you summon welfare to injure an innocent youth." 11:38 my wife's tone wavered, not from dread but managed ire, "and I witnessed you thrust, 11:43 my child into the water." "You lack evidence for any," my mother-in-law countered, 11:48, but her superiority evaporated. My wife displayed a clip on her device. 11:53 isn't this proof? My mother-in-law's gaze held panic for the first time ever. 11:58 the dread of facing consequences at last. 12:03 you get 2 hours, my wife declared. "Reach out to contacts. Secure lodging, 12:08 but past 9 tonight, I don't want you here." "You can't treat me this way, 12:13 I'm your parent, and parents don't mistreat their offspring's kids, pilfer, or deceive." 12:17 my wife advanced. "You ceased being my parent ages ago. 12:22 you've been a leech." My mother-in-law launched a final frantic assault. "He's controlling you." 12:27 he made those clips to sway you. "No," my wife replied with eerie serenity. 12:33 he set those cams to guard our unit from you. 12:36 I lingered in the passage, seeing the dynamics flip, and I stayed out. 12:40 no necessity. My wife had discovered her strength, her resolve, her boundary, 12:45, and for the first time in months I glimpsed promise for our union. 12:49 the battle neared its close, but the key triumph was secured. 12:53 my wife had awakened, and the day after I saw something unexpected. 12:59 my wife, with an icy poise I didn't know she had, 13:02, assisted her mom in packing. No yells or begs, 13:06 merely a dense quiet that oppressed the space. 13:09 my mother-in-law tried one ultimate manipulative ploy, 13:13 dropping to the ground and weeping in a show she'd mastered for years. 13:18 he's pitted you against me, she howled, gripping my wife's pant leg like a child. 13:23 I'm your mom, you can't do this. My wife halted and looked down. 13:27 the chill in her speech gave me goosebumps. 13:31 no, you caused it, you injured my child, you pushed a kid into the water, and 13:35 robbed my own dwelling. She bent to her mom's eye level, "It's finished." 13:40 for the first time I saw real fear in my mother-in-law's gaze. 13:45 the lady who dominated my wife for years grasped she'd forfeited all authority suddenly. 13:51 you lack authority, she sobbed, rising with haste she'd never shown. 13:56 this place ought to be mine, I'm true kin. 14:00 my wife rose, and I beheld the resilient woman concealed for 14:05 years behind the compliant child. Kin doesn't shove kids, kin doesn't thieve, kin doesn't alert 14:11 welfare to wound blameless folks. The mother-in-law deployed her last tactic. 14:17 you'll rue this, you're worthless without me, I nurtured you. I provided all. 14:22 You trained me, you controlled me, you instilled putting your ease above my child's welfare. 14:28 My wife's tone cracked not from frailty but emancipation, no longer. 14:35 2 hours on, her sibling came to collect her. The strain was palpable as my 14:39 sister-in-law entered and spotted the luggage. What occurred truly, she asked outright. 14:44 I didn't need to reply. My wife gave her the phone, running one clip. 14:49 I saw my sister-in-law's expression shift from surprise to disgust, viewing her mom pilfer from my 14:54 workspace. Oh heavens, mother, what more did you do? My mother-in-law attempted her final ploy. Those are fabricated clips, he altered them, but my sister-in-law had witnessed plenty. Collect your items, let's depart. My mother-in-law directed pure venom at me. This isn't finished. I'm 14 set to ruin you. I approached her and in the steadiest tone possible said, You 19 attempted and failed. The following morning my wife's device buzzed endlessly with messages, 15:25 and social alerts from pals, locals, and far-off relatives. I believed 15:30 that concluded the fight, but I erred. The fight had merely relocated arenas. How 15:34 could you desert your parent? Your mom is shattered. My mother-in-law had detonated her 15:39 ultimate weapon, depicting herself as a vulnerable senior, wrongly expelled by a domineering 15:44 in-law and a swayed offspring. She alleges her in-law coerced you to despise her. 15:49 I viewed your mom's update, how tragic. I'm wishing well for her. I observed my wife scan the update. 15:55 her features a blend of rage and hurt, and I worried old uncertainty would return, but she gazed 16:00 up and locked eyes with resolve. She described wanting only family unity, 16:06, and her spirit fractured. She omitted the thievery, welfare contact, 16:10, or water event. She was the flawless sufferer. I'm aware many saw my mom's update, 16:17, but please view this beforehand as reality reveals itself. 16:20 rather than replying to the update or igniting debates, she chose wiser. 16:25 she created a messaging group with vital kin and dispatched one note. 16:29 she included clips of thievery, damage, and sound of welfare call. 16:35 then with chilling poise she added one open remark under her mom's update. 16:40 Mom, it pains me you've publicized this with a tale so detached from truth. 16:45 our choice was life's toughest, to safeguard my child. 16:49 the mother-in-law's update was unmasked as falsehood, and message vibes 16:54 altered quickly. The kin with solid proof supported us. 17:00 soon we noted my mother-in-law removed her update 17:04 incapable of enduring the shame. Her final tool backfired 17:08 leaving her isolated. That evening my wife acted in a way proving recovery started. She fetched an aged velvet case from storage, holding assorted adornments. Bands, armlets, and a bead strand. What is this? I queried. 17:23 it's the adornments my mom bestowed, she stated, tone resolute. Each item bore a stipulation, 17:28 a request, a tie. They're not presents, they're bonds. 17:32 next day we visited a resale store jointly and disposed of all. 17:36 we refused to retain reminders of that toxic figure. 17:40 with proceeds we arranged our upcoming kin outing. That day we conversed with 17:45 our child. Recall your dream of the theme park in Orlando? 17:50 my wife said. And how grandma deemed it pointless and extravagant. 17:55 my daughter affirmed, a trace of gloom in her gaze. 17:59 well my wife proceeded, clasping her palms. Grandma erred. Aspirations aren't futile. 18:05 they're vital. And that's our next adventure. What do you think? My daughter's 18:10 eyes expanded hugely, overflowing with shocked delight. The mother-in-law's targeted spite, which had shunned her and demeaned her desires, 18:21 was dismantled and repurposed to fulfill those very aims. 18:25 that evening, with our child asleep, my wife regarded me and stated, 18:29 my mom was gradually eroding our joy, now we reclaim it. 18:33 and for years first my dwelling felt the sanctuary it should be. 18:39 months later the conflict's remnants dimmed. We revamped her former guest area, 18:43, the Serpent's Lair, into a home cinema. Evenings of strife yielded to snack-laden film sessions. Our child's giggles echoed alone in halls. 18:53 a call unveiled the real finale, It was my sister-in-law. My wife stepped aside 1858 to talk, returning with a complex look of grief and ease. 1903, she sat silently beside me a while. 1906, what was it? I asked steadily. She inhaled deeply. 1911, my sibling. She reached her limit, the falsehoods and schemes pitting her against her spouse. 1917, same routine. She paused and eyed me. 1923, they institutionalized her. Mom's in a care facility. 1927, the info settled heavily. No festivity, no glee. 1931, just inevitable's burden. My wife's tone faltered as she added. 1937 will split costs evenly. It's optimal available 1941, but her existence now. I embraced her firmly. 1944, you didn't place her there, I murmured. She paved it herself, stone by stone. 1950 foreclosure's end, my wife shredded 3 sealed notes her mom sent recently. 1954, our child, unshackled from disdain's shade, bloomed bolder, noisier, cheerier. One evening, my wife grasped my hands and murmured words that shattered and mended me. My kin is solely you too. Pardon my delay in realizing. Now I query you. What would you do in my shoes? Was I excessively strict, or ought I have moved faster? Update. We honored our vow. We visited Orlando recently. Seeing my child greet beloved figures and yell gleefully on rides, I knew victory was ours.